We move to another World Championship title match for match number 10 on tonight's incredible King of the Table 14 card. This time on the right arm in the lightweight division for the East versus West Lightweight Championship of the World. Let's introduce our athletes firstly with the challenger. This man is a former East versus West left-handed world champion, EAF champion, WAF world champion, and one of the most decorated arm wrestlers in the division. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together and welcome, representing Moldova, Daniel Procopciuc. Ladies and gentlemen, the smiling assassin, Daniel Procopciuc, vibes onto the stage with swag and confidence, and he awaits the introduction of our next athlete, who is a multiple national champion, EAF European champion, WAF world champion, and is also the reigning and defending East versus West lightweight champion of the world. Ladies and gentlemen, Artur Makarov!
All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Taking a glimpse at the card here. This match really stuck out to me when you talk about the combined efforts of these two human beings, the experience, the pedigree, the championship mentality. Never before could it be any deeper than the two gentlemen you see on the stage. Artur Makarov on your right, his opponent, the Moldovan beast in Daniel Procopciuc. This is some quality arm wrestling, ladies and gentlemen. If you think back at the blemish on Daniel Procopciuc's record, it was with Mendigas that you saw him in charge there. Round one, easy win. Round two, not so easy, took a little bit off and allowed the window to open for Mendigas to come back and win 3-2. A brief 8 months later, we saw Artur Makarov take care of Mendigas. There was some compromise in the hand and wrist, but only at the bottom, and it was too little, too late. And here we are. Once again, we see we got a match. Arthur's so talented when it comes to the relationship between his index finger and his chin, Neil pickup. That was textbook, exactly what the champ needs to do. And rarely do you see Daniel running away from the table here. It just shows how extraordinary this champion is in this weight class.
Makarov is unbelievably powerful, unbelievably explosive, and really demonstrated it there. I mean, it's a relentless attack. He absolutely dives on opponents, and you could see just how damaging that is. Really couldn't find a lane there, Daniel. He's obviously the smaller man in terms of frame, and Supercar Makarov in the corner there, dream start, kind of what we would expect.
And it's so perfect. It's so absolute in its sideways pressure. You're almost damned if you do, damned if you don't. Do I come inside and try to hook this person, or do I have to stay back and try to compromise the hand and wrist? The lane is absolute perfect for the champ. We can only hope Daniel has the ability to keep stopping the match longer and longer. Perhaps the Moldovan has better endurance, and that can be what he exploits.
The read was on this match coming in that it would be Artur Makarov that made the early running. He would start with that explosivity, with that dominant power, with the massive levers that his hand presents to him. But there was a chink of daylight, and that if Daniel Procopciuc could get the stop, could turn this into a dogfight, that he had the endurance advantage, and potentially he could find himself an opening. That was not the best start for Daniel Procopciuc. He wanted a lot more from that. He didn't really get a sticking point. Didn't really get an opportunity to go to work and to put any kind of damage or fatigue in there. Early, it looked like he may do. But that relentless, aggressive nature of Artur Makarov, and look at the confidence now, Travis, of Makarov. He's sitting in there now.
Yeah, no doubt, but we see a little different in the change here. Now, Daniel, definitely, he's going to eat that hit, and he's going to sacrifice a couple inches there. But from what I've seen, the brakes was on right there. This is definitely the best strategy for Procopciuc. Absolutely smother the athlete, the champion, and here we go. Daniel, much more in control. This is what we all thought we would see. These two amazing athletes, and listen, we got a match here. Make some noise, Istanbul. Who's it gonna be? Look at the peak on the bicep of the Moldovan athlete. Daniel Procopciuc is in an absolute beautiful position. Kneel pickup. Procopciuc will win round 2. Here we go. That's gotta be close, and let's give it up. My goodness, this is has set up to be the match of the night here. Daniel getting his hand and wrist compromised. The side pressure was too much in round 1. You see him in round 2 here. Absolutely smothering the middle of the table, leaning forward in the hook. This is a great matchup here.
Match of the night, in my opinion, coming in here. I really loved this match as soon as it was announced, and I was hoping that it would deliver. This is great, and it may set up a titanic battle. That was a game of Daniel Procopciuc. He got what he wanted, and when he finds that lane, there's a combination of massive strength and truly remarkable diligence. If you study that match back, if you want to see a masterclass of small, incremental gains in the position, check that out, guys. This is an incredible technical arm wrestler. This fella, if you're not subscribed to his YouTube channel, you should be. He's a magnificent puller, and evidenced by that match. The movement was superb. Not only was he hanging on to his position, was he holding his pronator, he managed to just diligently squeeze and time his movements to the side supremely, perfectly. And the result, a win over one of the most devastating arm wrestlers in the division. It is on, ladies and gentlemen. It is on.
And yet, I've yet to see the amazing difference in Makarov. He seems to be very, very exact. He shows up to the table. The hand is tucked really right underneath the chin. That relationship remains the same, and it seems to be contain the hand and wrist and use the side pressure. We're going to have to see some manipulation now in the hand and wrist. He's going to have to try to change the connection. If what we've seen in round 2 is what I think we saw, maybe the stronger arm from the young Moldovan.
Here we go. 1-1 the score. Artur Makarov, the reigning East versus West lightweight champion of the world. The Moldovan arm wrestler is Daniel Procopciuc. He is a former left-handed East versus West world champion. He'd love to take this title here. And
the small subtle changes there, whether you have the strap on your side or not. Daniel had the strap on his hand, and he kept telling the ref, tighter, tighter. You saw Makarov now with a bit looser strap, but it seems that the setup of Daniel Procopciuc. This thing is going inside. Look how much of Daniel's hand and wrist. Say it again.
Makarov looked a little rushed there. He's panicking a little.
Look at how much Daniel has passed through the hand and wrist. This thing has no choice but to go in a hook. My goodness, Daniel Procopciuc. What an absolute beast. Ladies and gentlemen, you're seeing the superb level of Makarov still in the fight, but the optics are clear to me. Daniel Procopciuc, he has the setup that's needed to force this thing in a hook, and he appears to look a little stronger to me, Neil.
Yeah, blasted it in there, and just as he started to try to slide his elbow forward to increase his leverage, he lost traction on the elbow and slipped off the side. Both men acknowledging that. These guys are best of friends off the arm wrestling table, and Artur Makarov agrees.
Makarov needs to start arm wrestling right now, Neil. The setup, he has allowed Daniel to pass through the hand and wrist. What do I mean by that? Check out how much of Daniel's fingers and meat of his hand is on the other side of Makarov's thumb. He has totally stopped any sort of hand and wrist problems here. This match is going in a hook. If Arthur's going to win, he's going to have to pull through the side pressure of a 100% pronated Daniel Procopciuc.
Here we
And
go.
you can see
Ladies and gentlemen, we are deep inside the match. Hits the hook, and Daniel Procopciuc seats himself as Makarov goes on an enormous offensive there, tries to power through Procopciuc's arm, and exactly right. Travis Page with the call, he will go on an ultra offensive. I don't think that was a pin.
Look here.
I don't think that was a pin. It didn't look like it from where we were sat, but we will see it on the replay in a moment, and I'm sure that the referees will be looking at that again on the replay. Remember, anything from the wrist to the fingertips down to the level or below the level of the pad, and the referee's right on top of it.
It is very close, Neil, but listen, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Makarov is still in this match, even if Procopciuc is in a hook 100%. This is an amazing champion here. In this match, someone has to win 4 rounds here. We are still eager in match 3 to get a decision here. Ingen Terzi about to come up. Look at the replay and let us know. I agree with you, maybe not quite a pin, but once we start to look clear, we could possibly see something that changes our mind.
It's hard for us to say though, Travis, because it looks like it from our commentary position, but we seem to be seeing the angle that is slightly above the match, and that can be really confusing. The referees were right. I'm always looking at where the referee's head is, and they were right on top of it. Now, they got the best, literally the best view. They are right there. We're sat watching it on a monitor, so... I mean, on that angle, it looked more like a pin. Let's have a look what they come back with. That angle, it doesn't.
It's not pin.
The thing that makes you think maybe there's no pin there is there was no movement anymore. It was almost like the referee saw the pin, verified it, and then made the call.
And also, Makarov didn't say pin, pin. He wasn't contesting. There was no Paul Linnery going on. He wasn't shouting, you know. There was nothing, so I don't know.
And the win was, it does stand. There is a win there. A great, listen, I would not have seen that coming. If you take a look at the grip and the connection of these two gentlemen, it was clear that that thing was going to be decided with Procopciuc in a hook. I did not think Makarov had the side pressure to finish. It goes to show you, you have to be really careful when it comes to any early predictions at the king of the table.
Yeah.
Both of these athletes absolutely phenomenal at their craft.
Oh, the level is ridiculous. I mean, one of the reasons I was so excited about this was because this, you know, you can argue the point, there are other guys in the conversation, but this represents the absolute pinnacle on any given Sunday. You know what I mean? This is right there. If you look at the resume of these guys, if you look at who they've beaten to get here, if you look at who they've beaten in their career, it's very hard to argue that you are seeing the best lightweight arm wrestlers on the planet go at it head to head. And I feel like there's still twists and turns here. 2-1 the score right now. The reigning and defending champion, Artur Makarov, leads this arm wrestling match. Daniel Procopciuc contested it. The referees, as I said earlier, were right on top of that match. They were right there. I think the down ref was Robert Kornick, super experienced referee from Germany. He was inches away. Best seat in the house, best view in the house, and he made the call. The call was correct. It stands, and the score is 2-1 in favor of the champ.
Нет, я буду тоже так делать.
You can see the really good-natured approach to this match. These guys, tremendous friends. Who will come out on top? Better position for Makarov there, Trav. Much better.
Yeah, no doubt. He's a little more comfortable not really fighting the position of Daniel, accepting it and going right into the match. Makarov, very impressive here.
Fantastic drive. Not there yet, and Daniel Procopciuc hanging on to it now. If he can create that stop, Daniel Procopciuc could really do damage to after Makarov here.
Fall.
Calling that elbow. Foul. Makarov's elbow.
Elbow. Foul was before.
And it's a foul, I believe, to Artur Makarov. Elbow off the back of the pad. I don't think intentional, just absolutely on the ragged edge.
Yeah, and there was a situation there where you would think maybe it was time to come up and regain, but Makarov very adamant to hit and stick there. Any sort of coming back up to reposition would most likely cause a loss in that position. Makarov is crazy strong in a hook kneel pickup. I was not prepared for this guy to be so committed to not changing the connection, being totally okay with Daniel pushing the middle, making the match go in a hook, and Makarov's just like, hey, if that's the way it's got to be like that. I'm a beast as well. Very, very interesting that he's able to pin and move Daniel Procopciuc in a hook.
Clearly off the back with the elbow, and the funny thing was there, Daniel was calling that way early. He was saying foul, foul, and if you watch, he hasn't moved at all, and it is off. So there was a long time there with Daniel contesting that where he was stretched wide open, and all the time was saying elbow, elbow, elbow. Real battle of attrition, but I think that is the right decision. Yeah, I thought they were giving something else there, but that is the right call. We called back in.
And the nonverbal communication from Daniel, it appears Artur has a little more energy, a little bit more confident here to
His
start round 4.
His setup was great there, Trav. I mean, he got the height. We said it just before they started. Earlier, he seemed to sink low. That time, he really kept hold of that height, didn't he? He was sitting up high.
And he's decided not to even think about compromising the hand and wrist anymore. He notes the setup of Daniel is forcing that thing. So he's like, okay, if you're going to lean forward and move towards my kitchen, I'm just going to rise up and I'm going to go complete side pressure, similar to the way Paul Lynn was victorious here against Samusha. Just stay in the middle. The path of least resistance is straight down, and you can see Makarov really enjoying the leverage of taking that hook to that 9-10 o'clock motion and just waiting for Daniel to slowly open up more and more, and he was able to get the win in round 3. Here in round 4, super close to that same thing.
And if you just look at the stats, the physical stats, on the forearm, hand and wrist of Artur Makarov, it is something to behold. And as you said earlier, mate, when he digs into that hook and he commits hard and just hangs off his opponent's arm, the width of that hand and wrist is doing so much work for him. It really is. Now, pivotal to me there, Makarov's elbow was off for a long time. You could clearly see that Daniel Procopciuc was protesting for a good 20 seconds. And it certainly was not a parallel pin at that time.
Spending a lot of time there looking at this, though. I wouldn't be surprised if, just like in round 2, our perception is a little off from that video footage. And when you put it in slow motion and that thing is so close and you get an accurate view there, we could see Makarov here up 3-1 if we're not careful.
I think that would be, I don't know. The elbow was off for a significant period of time from what I could see there, and that did look clear. You could see from the overhead that the elbow point was clearly off the back of the pad. And Daniel was protesting it early.
Look at the right arm of Artur Makarov.
It really is.
He is blowed up here. What a beautiful right arm on the champion of the world.
Talking about the lightweights here, and you look at that arm, it is just otherworldly.
Foul?
Foul Artur Makarov.
All right, so we have a clear picture here now in round 4. 1 foul on the champion, Artur Makarov.
For me, that was the right call because very early in that match, we heard Daniel start to protest. I actually think Daniel probably came out of that quite badly because he was absolutely scratching and he was talking throughout that protesting, foul, foul, foul.
Yeah, I feel like early in round 2, it was eager to just get a stop. Now, he has to be more aggressive at the beginning here. He can't let this thing go to 9, 10 o'clock right off the bat. He needs to stalemate in the middle of the table.
Keep tight is the order of business there. Maintain that cup, keep tight, hang on to the pronator. And it's easier said than done when you're pulling someone this explosive, this incredible with that back pressure. And Makarov's pronator is crazy strong.
And the longer he keeps the brakes on, the harder he makes it for Artur to finish. Watch for that elbow coming off the back there in order to finish.
Look at the attack from Makarov. Procopciuc hanging onto it, and that is a solid position. Ladies and gentlemen, we are deep inside there, and Daniel Procopciuc sets that hook and gets the brakes firmly applied. Battle of attrition at this stage, and Makarov isn't going away. Enormous drag, trying to drive down. Needs to be careful already onto the foul.
Look here for...
A big protest again from Daniel Procopciuc. Let's look again on the overhead. Ooh. It's the elbow of Makarov.
Hard to see there. It made not a lot of movement from the hit there, but it was so close, even though
We haven't got the
so
angle.
close. Ingen Terzi spending more time on the stage again, getting up there, and he's going to let us know here if that was a pin or not. I would say the referee once again down there in the correct place to make the call. It was not a rash decision. He was looking at it, and it is low. It is super low. Daniel, I thought once that he made Artur come back up and stand up, that he was in a really good situation. But it just goes to show you, there's a lot of effort to not only set the hook, but there's a lot of power from the champion, even when the match gets stopped. There was some panic at the end. You could see Artur trying to separate the elbow, kind of moving, trying to change the connection from the hand standpoint. And it may have been enough to get that parallel pin. We will see very soon.
So Daniel was calling elbow. So if that's a second elbow foul, that would level us up at 2-2, I believe. But I think we did not have the angle to make that call at all, did we here? Certainly not. Let's have a see what they're over there looking at the screens, and both men super relaxed, both men very respectful of one another. Now, what's the elbow of Makarov? Is there an infringement? I don't know. Daniel seemed to think there definitely was. We can't see that.
Стринг да се диспачи страпу. Саша, трап открывается.
May have popped off the back, but I don't know.
I don't see any more discussion. Are they even checking this out, or has the call been made?
I don't know. We can't see what's gone. Nothing's gone up on the scores, and we haven't had a definitive from the referees.
It looks like they are switching sides of the table, though, so that
Must be
could
done.
be an indication.
Must be done. Yep, that's got to be it. Nominated strap. The score must be 3-1. We'll see in a moment. 3-1.
Wow, absolutely phenomenal effort from the champ. This is no easy task here for Procopciuc, definitely making it arm to arm the game, and it kind of shows you. Daniel was a little worried even arm to arm. That's why you saw him trying to top roll, take the hand and wrist in round one. He knew something that we didn't know. Round two, forced to go arm to arm, pass through the connection, able to get a round two victory. Now, knowing it's going in a hook, the posture a little bit more twisting motion from Daniel. But the story of the day, Artur Makarov is the champ for a reason, Neil Pickup. He's a bad man.
Very bad man. Very aggressive, very explosive, very committed. Whoa.
And I like that. I like that aggression. Daniel understanding that he needs to win at the beginning of the match. Holding on doesn't seem to be working here. Oh my goodness, I think the best of the champ just showed up. Ladies and gentlemen, what a performance. And the reigning and defending champion of the world does what the champ is supposed to do. Not an easy victory at all, but as the time went on, even though the hook was set by Daniel Procopciuc, Artur Makarov, an absolute animal. What a great start. The timing on point from the champ, and you could see as the rounds got longer, Makarov understood the assignment. It's going arm to arm. We're going to be in a hook. Regardless of the setup, I am the champion of the world. Ladies and gentlemen, make some noise for Artur Makarov.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'll wait for the translator to come up here. I'll wait for the belt to come up here. Engin Terzi has come up here. This is his weight class. This is his weight class. Anybody think you knew this guy?
What's that?
Anybody think you knew this guy? You got history.
Artur Makarov is a special person. And if Artur is this good of arm wrestler, he is this good of human being. And he's one of the best person that I know in arm wrestling.
Now, before we put the belt back around the waist, and Engin Terzi is going to do that now. Yeah, third time, and here goes the belt around the waist of Artur Makarov. Ladies and gentlemen, with the win, so impressive tonight. Get his belt on, and then we can give this guy a couple of questions. Artur, there's an old saying, whenever anyone comes into a sport, how bad do you want it? And what was evident tonight is that between yourself and your great friend, Daniel Procopciuc, it seemed like you wanted it a little bit more.
Всегда говорят, когда в спорт приходишь, насколько сильно ты хочешь выиграть. И сейчас, когда вы боролись, мне показалось, что ты хотел это вот на столечко больше.
Наверное, да. Я хочу сказать большое спасибо своему оппоненту Даниэлю. Мы хорошо дружим и общаемся хорошо, и настроить себя на борьбу очень тяжело. Ему то же самое, мы с ним разговаривали об этом. Хочу спасибо большое сказать Энгину, да, Роберт Бакстер, да. Наверное, это один из лучших турниров, на котором я когда-либо участвовал.
I want to say thank you to my opponent, Daniel. He's my good friend. We talk a lot, and it's so hard to prepare for a match with your good friend. We talked about it, and same goes for him. I want to say thank you to Robert, to Engin, for this great tournament. This is probably the best event that I've pulled in.
Daniel Procopciuc, you pull great. You are great, man. You're great.
It's interesting. I kind of wish that we had Daniel Procopciuc up here as well to ask him the same question. But when you do know someone as well as Artur knows Daniel, I wanted to ask, was there anything about tonight's match and his approach to tonight's match that surprised you? Did you expect to see what you got tonight from Daniel?
Вот интересно было бы и у Даниэля спросить, когда настолько знаешь хорошо человека, и вы вот сегодня ночью поборолись, было ли что-то, что тебя удивило во время матча, чего ты не ожидал?
На самом деле, я в свою победу верил 50 на 50. И когда я в первом поединке смог выиграть Даниэля, меня это, если честно, удивило.
Really, I believed it to be a 50-50, and when in the first round I pinned him, I was really surprised.
When we were watching the match together with Hristo Delijakov, and he won the first round, and the second round, Daniel went inside, and he won the match. And Hristo said that Daniel's endurance is very, very good. I said, yes, Daniel's endurance within the match is very good, and generally very good. Artur Makarov, within the match, his endurance is good, but not that great. But the thing with Artur Makarov, when he goes to the corner, he recovers very fast. I know this, I know this. And this is exactly what happened, you know. Every round, when he went to the corner, he was recovered better than Daniel did. And today, it was a technical master. It was incredible match. First round, Daniel tried to go outside. He couldn't control Daniel's pronator, but he hit the sideway, and then he was able to win. And then Daniel went inside and hooked him, and Artur tried to beat him in deep hook, and he couldn't beat him, and Daniel won. And then he adjusted, he controlled, and he started to dragging, and then won. So these guys, maybe they don't talk so much, but trust me, they are master about arm wrestling.
Когда мы смотрели матч с Христо, там сидели, обсуждали то, что у Даниэля отличная выносливость во время матча. У тебя она тоже хорошая, но, возможно, не на таком уровне, но вот огромная твоя сила — это то, что когда ты уходишь в угол и возвращаешься, ты восстанавливаешься намного быстрее, чем он. И мы смотрели в первом раунде, ты не смог контролировать его пронатор нормально, да? Вы зарубились. Во втором раунде он перестроился, вы пошли внутрь, и он тебя там поборол, ты сразу же перестроился и начал тянуть его на себя. И, может, вы об этом и не говорите, но вы мастера своего дела и боретесь на просто высшем уровне.
One last question before we let Arthur go and enjoy his victory here. We spoke earlier on a few occasions about what this represented. Many people overlook the lightweight category and look at the super heavyweights, where, as Engin said, there was incredible demonstration of arm wrestling tonight. I spoke a moment ago about this representing the very best, the pinnacle of lightweight arm wrestling. You have now faced everyone there is to face. Do you believe, and I know you're humble, but do you believe in your heart that right now you are the very best in the world, or is there someone else that you need to prove it against?
Я согласен с Энгеном в плане мастер-класса, то, что многие люди, они так смотрят на супертяжей и забывают про средние классы, хотя тут просто высший уровень армрестлинга. Я знаю, что ты очень скромный, но ты боролся практически, со всеми, кто есть в этом классе. И честно, если ответишь из своего сердца, ты думаешь, что ты сейчас самый сильный в этом классе, или все-таки есть кто-то?
Сложно ответить на этот вопрос. Если попадаешь сюда, на этот турнир, ты уже самый сильный. Те, кто был на этом турнире, они все победители, они все чемпионы.
It's a very difficult question to answer, but I would say everyone who pulls at this event is a champion. Everyone who pulls here is the strongest.
A humble answer from a magnificent champion. Ladies and gentlemen, he is the champion of the world at East versus West. Please stand up and show your appreciation for Artur Makarov!